right, welcome back to the Lead Word. Today is Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. We're going to go over our week 9 takeaways this week. Chad, what's going on today? Any exciting news? Open up the show with?
Exciting news? Not really, unless you couldn't tell from Sunday. If you follow us on Twitter, I was at the Eagles game. Did a lot of posts.
Chad was at the Eagles game. He had some good reactions. I think my favorite one was at the end of the first quarter when you were the Eagles had the lead and you were still mad. That was my favorite one.
I don't remember being mad. I don't. Lot of alcohol.
It's 4th and 1.
Oh yeah, you gotta QB sneak that. QB sneak that, Doug. What are you thinking? They did pick up the first, if I remember correctly, but still.
That was my favorite one. The Eagles are dominating all day after the first quarter, and you're just fucking mad as hell.
We'll talk about that more in depth in a little bit.
So we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're going to start with the UFC and then get into our normal takeaways here. Chad, UFC 244, main event, had a kind of a weird baddest motherfucker title, or that's what it was called?
Yeah, it was the baddest motherfucker championship.
Yeah, some kind of made up title. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal fought, and you're quite upset with the way it ended.
I don't want to say I'm upset because, I think Masvidal was gonna win regardless, unless Diaz just got a clutch ass knockout. But I don't agree with the stoppage there. I've seen guys way worse in the UFC. I've seen guys knock the fuck out and still getting punched, and there was no stoppage. But this guy, you could clearly still see his pupil. His eye was very obviously still open, and they stopped the fight. I think they stopped it prematurely.
I agree. I don't know why I thought this, but when I first saw they stopped the fight, I literally thought there was something wrong with his ear. Oh shit, his ear's bleeding, he's going to have some kind of hearing loss or some shit if they keep the fight going. But they said it was his eye. I was like, really? He's cut up, but
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I didn't like that stoppage at all.
Yeah, I was shocked they stopped it. It didn't make any sense to me why you would stop that one there.
I think you were right that Diaz was probably going to lose anyway, but it was a hell of an entertaining fight. It epitomized everything that is the baddest motherfucker title or whatever they called it, because these two guys just went out there and they just kept swinging, and they didn't give a fuck if they were getting hit. Those are the fights you want to see.
Yeah, there was very few slipping shots in that fight. Like I said, I think Masvidal, I think he was, even if they had let it go and there wasn't, a knockout or anything, Masvidal would have won on the scorecard. I think he still would have wanted to finish it, though. I just think Diaz still had a chance to win. It's not like he wasn't landing his shots. And that guy's a fucking punching bag. That's all he does is take fucking damage.
Did you see after the fight, Masvidal had his little post-game fight interview, and somebody asked him about Conor McGregor, and he basically said Conor McGregor doesn't want his smoke, that he'd dust him in a second.
Yeah, he said something about that little guy or something like that. I thought that was pretty funny.
I think he's right, too. I think he would kill McGregor. And it's not necessarily that he's significantly better. It's McGregor, he doesn't have the eye of the tiger anymore. It's over. He's got too much money. He's done.
I'm trying to remember what the name of Mr. T's character was in Rocky IV. But maybe he's Clever Lang. Maybe George Masvidal is Conor McGregor's Clever Lang.
Basically.
He's gonna kill his trainer by accident. Or maybe
I pity the fool.
I've never known if he meant to kill him or not. But maybe he kills Rocky. Maybe he kills Conor McGregor's trainer, and Conor McGregor comes back stronger than ever.
Hey, woman. Clubber, what's your prediction for the fight?
Pain.
I think he's right, though. I think he'd beat up McGregor.
I think it would be a good fight. I don't know who I necessarily would think would win, but I think that would be a good fight.
Anything else on UFC this weekend? I was kind of dozing off. I was having a hard time staying awake. I just had to make it to the last one.
Yeah, outside the main event, that was basically that was the only thing worth really talking about. Derek Lewis held on.
Barely.
That's about it.
All right. So I guess I'll start takeaway number one. Chad, I didn't have any, I didn't tell you what I was going to do because I want to see what your kind of gut reaction to this is. I want to play a little blame game. You take a piece of the pie, you slice it up into slices. I want to know what your percent of the blame is. So let's look at the Cleveland Browns here. I want to do this for a couple teams. Cleveland Browns are 2-6. Baker Mayfield, Freddie Kitchens, John Dorsey, Odell Beckham. Slice it up however you want. Give me the slices of blame pie. Who deserves the biggest blame? Who's the at most fault here? What's the Browns' issue?
Okay. So, 65 Kitchens, 25 Baker. Where's that put me?
So you got 10 left.
90%?
Yeah.
5% or 10% split it evenly amongst the rest of the team. I don't think the play call's been there. I don't think we've talked about Freddie Kitchens having to own the locker room. I don't think he's doing that. And just Baker's just not doing himself any favors. But 10% still goes to the rest of the team because, outside of a handful of guys, no one's playing well.
I think that's kind of accurate. I think maybe I'd give Mayfield a little bit more. But I think Kitchens is probably number one. Or you could say John Dorsey number one for hiring Kitchens. I think that's a good answer too. But some of the things they did, they failed to get a quarterback sneak. How do you do that? They had a 3rd and 3. Nick Chubb's not on the field. They run Darren Hilliard up the front, and they don't get it. 3rd and 3, 4th and 1, and Chubb's not on the field. How do you do that?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I think Odell was dominating on Sunday, and they really didn't throw him the ball that much. There was a 4th down call, and they sent Odell Beckham on a 9 route way down the field, and then they throw it to double-cover Jarvis Landry. I think the play calling's bad. They're basically running, from what I see, the Bruce Arians offense, but they don't have the offensive line to run the Bruce Arians risk it or biscuit offense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, we came into this year saying it's going to be Freddie Kitchens' job not to fucking crash the car here.
And he did.
Freddie Kitchens right now, he's not even like a kid where dad hands him the keys to the car and says, "Hey, just don't crash it." He's a fucking valet at a restaurant right now, and he just lost his job for crashing some guy's Ferrari.
It's bad. And I also, while Kitchens probably deserves the most amount of blame, Mayfield's been awful. I don't know if you watched the game Sunday, Chad, but Brandon Allen was the starting quarterback of the Broncos. It wasn't even the Fighting Joe Flacco's. It was Brandon Allen making his first start ever. The last time he made a start was the 2016 Liberty Bowl for Arkansas. He's 27, never made a career start. Brandon Allen was better than him Sunday. Brandon Allen was the better quarterback. And right now, I have a stat for you, Chad. Lowest passer rating not under pressure. So we think the offensive line's bad, but even when he's getting protection, Mayfield has the lowest passer rating of any quarterback when he's not under pressure.
What are you doing? You're acting like a girl out there. What are you, a girl or something?
He's got 6 touchdowns, 10 picks, not under pressure. Quarterback rating of 75. Andy Dalton's got a quarterback rating of 84. Josh Allen, 86. Kyle Allen, 87. Mitch Trubisky, 88. That's without pressure. All those guys have better passer ratings. Mayfield's the worst. Worst passer rating in football with no pressure. He's been awful.
I get that, and that's why I said, of all the players, he definitely deserves the lion's share of the blame. I gave you 10% to split up among the other players not named Baker Mayfield. He's got a whole 25% just sitting to himself.
I think Odell needs a little bit more, though. Because I think, football, it's different from other sports. Like NBA, you can be dysfunctional as hell and go out there and win. You need discipline in the NFL to win. And this team, they just care more about their shoes. Like, did you see him and Odell and Jarvis Landry? They changed their shoes at halftime because the NFL said you can't play with these shoes. They're not licensed NFL gear. And they also said Baker Mayfield made sure he shaved 3 times in the stadium to make sure his mustache was on point. Like, this team they're not focused at all.
Like, I agree with that, but at the same time, I've always been of the mindset that if you're playing in the NFL, you should not need, someone to motivate you. Being in the NFL should be motivation in and of itself. For me, if your guys aren't motivated, that's a head coaching issue. That's what are you doing wrong where these guys aren't focused on Sunday or Monday or Thursday?
I think it's a distraction issue. I think there's just too many things that are coming up that just aren't football. And there's only so much you can deal with.
I mean, that's true. But again, that's a head coach. That's a head coach thing. If it's Bill Belichick and there's a distraction on the team, how long do you think that guy lasts? Antonio
He's
Brown,
cut more
prime
guys
example.
than you know.
Antonio Brown was there for a fucking cup of coffee. As soon as one thing came out about him. See ya, buddy.
Michael Bennett, see ya.
Yeah. Michael Bennett answered one question in the locker room, and he was fucking gone.
That was it.
And this has been something we've been dealing with the Browns now pretty much since they lost in week 1.
All right, so I wanted to do this for a couple teams. Let's move on to the Jets. Adam Gase, Sam Darnold, offensive line, Joe Douglas. How would you split up the blame there? What percent would you go around for the Jets? Because they stink.
I'm going 50-50 front office and head coach there.
That's 50-50. It, just 50-50.
I'm not putting any of it on the players. I think they were put in a tough-ass situation with Sam Darnold going down. And, I mean, some of the games, obviously, we saw them got blowouts. Some of them were kind of close. But, I mean, they finally get Sam Darnold back. And, I mean, they beat the Cowboys, who have a winning record. Then you go in Monday night, and or Thursday, whatever it was, they play the Patriots, and they let Sam Darnold on air, seeing ghosts. Now you got Sam Darnold's being trolled in every stadium because you couldn't hit the mute button, And then I just don't think Adam Gase has done enough to put his team in a position to win. I mean, Sam Darnold goes down, and it felt like they were still trying to run the same old offense. No change at all to what they were trying to do. Defensively, C.J. Mosley goes down. No change to try to make up for any weaknesses after he leaves. So I mean, there's a lot of blame there on the coach, and I think there's a lot of blame on the front office because they have one GM. He doesn't mesh with the coach, so they fire him, but they still let that GM make all the fucking moves in the world that he wanted to make before they fired him. So now the coach guy has a fucking team that he doesn't want.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I'm not kidding when I say this. I think this Jets team, it may be the worst roster in the NFL. Like, the Dolphins are actively trying to lose. Miami might have better players. Like, can we just say that? You go up and down that Jets roster, and I know, I've used them in Madden. Their offensive line is horrible. Your number one target is Robbie Anderson. He's nice. He's okay. That number 2 receiver's Jamison Crowder. That's getting it done. Your tight end, Ryan Griffin, couldn't make the Texans roster. Le'Veon Bell has been one of the worst running backs in football. Your defense without C.J. Mosley is Swiss cheese. The corner's good hell. Just awful. I mean, this team is terrible. I made the comparison a couple weeks ago. Like, this is Troy University with a good quarterback prospect. Their team is awful. Awful.
I like I said, man, it's been a comedy of errors for that team this year.
They took Chakai Polite in the 3rd round and cut him. Their 3rd round pick this year didn't make the roster. And they didn't have a 2nd round pick because they traded it for Sam Darnold. This is a team that has had bad rookie class after bad rookie class. You can't cut your 3rd round pick and expect to do good things.
The platinum rule.
I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. You know, you have this fucking guy as your GM coming into the offseason. You gave him carte blanche to run the fucking team, and then he's doing shit that doesn't mesh with the guy you bring in, the coach you fucking bring in, who this guy had a fucking hand in bringing in. Like, there had to be a meeting when this guy was hiring Adam Gase, where Adam Gase said, hey, this is my blueprint, and he said, sounds good, I'm not going to fucking listen.
I mean, well, first, they had Mike McCagnon, they let him draft, and then they fired Mike McCagnon to bring in Joe Douglas.
Like, right, that's my point. You had Mike McCagnon. Mike McCagnon crazy. Hired Adam fucking Gase and then proceeded to be like, hey, I don't want to fucking listen to you.
It's crazy. It's Looney Town.
Like, I have to imagine, like, at some point in the interview process, Adam Gase said, hey, this is my view for the future this season with this team. And then Mike McCagnon was like, sounds good. Not going to fucking care.
It's crazy. It's Looney Tunes. It really is. Here's the other thing I want to say, because I think some of this is on Gase. It might be more than 50%. Ask yourself this question. Do the Jets play hard for him? Does that team look like they buy into what Adam Gase is selling them? I don't think they do. I don't think they play hard. It would be one thing if they lost and they tried. This team doesn't look like they play hard for him.
I think they quit when Darnold went down, to be honest with you. I think they said, fuck it, we don't have a shot.
That's fair.
This guy openly fucking hates our running back.
He does. I would too, by the way. He's horrible.
Still, like, if you're Le'Veon Bell, you have to show up to fucking work every day and be like, hey, coach, remember how you said you don't like me to the fucking press?
Why don't you love me?
It's crazy. So, I want to do one more. Maybe 2 more. The New York Giants, because they're realistically in this group. They're 2-7, and if Matt Gay hits a field goal, they're 1-8. How would you slice the blame up there? 5% Barkley injury, 10% Barkley injury, Pat Shurmur, Dave Gettleman, Daniel Jones. Where'd you go there?
I'm going 100% Dave Gettleman. 100% on this. The team that Dave Gettleman put together just doesn't cut it in the NFL.
It's a bad team.
Terrible team. You got, and you're not doing yourself any favors when you take Daniel Jones 6th overall. You're just not. I can't
disagree. By the way, I think you're probably right, but I will say I don't think Pat Shurmur is a good head coach. That guy never wins.
I'm not going to necessarily say he's a bad head coach. I'm not going to say he's good. We can't tell with this roster. Like, they have no clue what they're doing. Are they tanking? Are they winning? They don't fucking know.
That defense that might be the worst defense in the league.
Might be the worst offense in the league, too. outside of Saquon Barkley, who's fucking up the curve for the rest of the offense.
They have Evan Engram, and that's like it. Their guards are okay. They got Kevin Zeitler back.
Sterling Shepard's not terrible. I like him as a number 2, but no number 1 with Beckham gone.
Golden Tate's kind of overrated.
They trade Beckham, and it's like, okay, the tank is on, and it's like, psych, we're going to try and win.
I think you're right. I think the guy's clueless. I mean, this is
I think right now, as a front office, they don't know if they're tanking or if they're winning. For me, if I'm Dave Gettleman, Barkley's gone at the trade deadline.
There's no point. I said this a year ago. There's no point in having him on that roster for 5 years, and you're gonna stink.
Fuck. What did Miami get for Kenyon Drake?
A 6, which is nothing.
Yeah, I thought they got a better pick. I thought it was something better, but regardless, you're telling me you wouldn't grab a first overall pick right now for Barkley?
I think they could get more than that.
You probably get multiple picks. You probably get a first and maybe a 3.
I think they could get even more than that, actually. I would, if I'm running the Giants, I would. You're going to waste all his good years on a bad team.
I mean, it's one thing you think, okay, you got Daniel Jones. You think he's your quarterback going forward to the future.
And he's not.
He's not, but I'm just saying, that's what you think come into the season. You bench Eli Manning, Daniel Jones, he wins against Tampa. So you're like, okay, looked good in that game. And then you proceed to play out the rest of the season, and you're like, okay, clearly we're farther away than we thought we were. And you don't do anything.
It's awful.
Miami, they knew the tank was on from jump. They're trading away their best offensive player.
Kenny Stills, Laramie, they traded everybody. Anybody that had value, see ya.
I can honestly just see the fucking Miami GM on the sideline every game. The next motherfucker that scores a fucking touchdown is cut.
All right, I think that's good. I just wanted to see, because there's some bad teams out there. How do you fix them? Who's to blame? I think Kitchens and Gay should go. I think Pat Shermer should go. I think the Giants' rebuild is more complicated. But the Jets and the Browns are just... Some things just never change.
Oh, no! We suck again!
Jets, Browns, Dolphins, the usual suspects.
Bengals, Redskins.
Raiders. We go on. We won't, but we could.
All right, Chad. Go ahead.
All right. Takeaway number 1 for me. I'll be quick because I feel like every year we have to have the same discussion, and it's getting kind of pointless at this point. 2 weeks ago, we posted the show on YouTube, and some clown-ass Cowboys fan decided he needed to have his voice heard. And you can tell he's a Cowboys fan because nobody else is making the fucking comment this clown left. Oh, if Carson Wentz, or if Dak Prescott had that game, then you would have ripped him. Well, yeah, because there's several differences between Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott. But your clown-ass comment, and I hope you're fucking listening because you are a fucking clown, by the way, just proves how much Cowboys fans don't fucking get it, dude. So if you listen to that show, you can clearly tell that we're talking about Wentz's performance on the season as a whole. Yes, obviously Carson Wentz didn't have a good game against the Cowboys. Fumbled. He missed open receivers. Yes, that happened. Everyone has a bad game. But we were talking about Carson Wentz as a player since he's been in the league for the entire season. And obviously, when you compare it to Dak, Wentz is obviously better. So that wasn't the point of what we were talking about. And again, clown-ass Cowboys fan, they just don't get it.
Are you stupid or something?
Let's go through the comparison one more time for those slow-ass Cowboys fans. Okay, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, there has been times where the Eagles have no business being in a game. Is he perfect? No. He makes mistakes. Every quarterback makes mistakes. That's why Rodgers never finishes the year with 0 interceptions and 100% completion rate. It's not going to fucking happen.
By the way, Rodgers was bad this week.
He was bad this week. Well, we got to point that out for the Cowboys fan, otherwise he's going to get butthurt. So, yes, we acknowledge that Rodgers was bad this week. Okay, we can move on for the Cowboys fans now. So, anyway, if you look at Carson Wentz's body of work as a whole, he's been the reason why the Eagles have been in some of these games. Like, there are some of these games the Eagles have played. Fucking Atlanta. Detroit. I could go on, but some of these games, the way the Eagles' defense and other offensive players, Miles Sanders fumbling twice against Detroit, three fumbles in a row because Aguilar fumbled too. Motherfucker hasn't caught a ball since 2017.
They should have beaten the Lions and Falcons if it wasn't for like horrible mistakes by like Sanders and Aguilar and all of them.
Right. My point is, some of these games, the Eagles shouldn't have had a fucking chance without Carson Wentz. If you put Dak Prescott in those situations, it's the opposite. It's the exact fucking opposite. When's the last time you looked at a Cowboys game and said, hey, the Cowboys are only in this game because of how well Dak Prescott's been playing? Has never happened for me. Never happened for me.
I want to say that Dak Prescott, if you just take Amari Cooper away, he's a totally, totally different guy.
Absolutely. I can't tell you, again, all the time, man, the Eagles are only in this game because of how Carson's playing. Never say that about Dak Prescott.
I hate Philadelphia's weapons.
You know what I say?
Them.
You know what I say a lot about Dak Prescott? Damn, if it wasn't for Dak, the Cowboys would be winning this game. That's the fucking difference.
There are a lot of games like that.
That is the difference. Never said that about Carson. That's the difference.
I hate Philadelphia's weapons.
That's the difference for the Cowboys fans that don't get it.
Like, outside of Goddard and Ertz, they're nice tight ends, I don't like your receiving core at all. Like, Alshon, he just decided he's just not going to catch now. He got the same disease that Aguilar has.
What's the matter? You have a little puss?
I swear to God, I see Matt Collins on the field every week. I can't tell you the last time I saw him catch a pass. When is the last time Matt Collins caught a pass? He's on the field all the time.
He caught a ball against Detroit. I don't know if he's caught anything since.
He's on the field all the time, and he never catches anything.
Well, that's
I don't
because
think he even throws the ball to him.
He's on the field basically out of necessity at this point. You got to put someone out there.
It's Looney Tunes.
You can't put J.J. Arcega-Whiteside out because he can't fucking catch. Crazy stat. Matt Collins has more penalty yards than he has receiving yards.
Wow.
Do you know that?
I believe it.
He's got 126 penalty yards. He's got 125 receiving yards on the season.
Every time I see him out there, I swear to God, I see him on the field all day, and then he never catches the ball. I don't even know if he throws it to him.
Dak Prescott, maybe he's had like 5, 6 drops on the season.
Well, I know Philadelphia does lead the league in drops.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit triple digits in drops this season. And
another thing, they beat the Giants. Everybody's going to beat the Giants this year for the most part.
I mean, again, my point here is like you can't compare the two quarterbacks.
That opening drive by Prescott was funny. When he threw it right to the linebacker. That shit was funny last night.
Hey, I mean, I'll say this for the Cowboys fans. Carson Wentz had a bad day. Dak Prescott, he had a bad drive. He turned it around by the end of the game.
You think Wentz was bad on Sunday?
Oh, I meant when they played the Cowboys.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think he played bad.
I was trying to be fair for the Cowboys fans. Carson Wentz had a bad game against Dallas. Dak Prescott, apparently he's colorblind. Couldn't tell the difference between the Giants and the Cowboys for that first drive.
He was not good against the Jets.
Look, again, my point is right. Carson Wentz isn't getting a pass for a bad game. We know Carson Wentz had a bad game. But Carson Wentz, again, the point of what we were talking about the last show was Carson Wentz wasn't the problem. The Carson Wentz isn't the reason why the Eagles are losing this season.
They're only half game out.
We listed several things over the course of a season that are reasons why the Eagles don't have the record they should have. But this bum-ass Cowboys fan decided to focus on one fucking game when we were clearly talking about a season. Philadelphia's
only half game out, by the way.
I know. Tough Tough stretch coming up, though. New England, Seattle, and the Cowboys.
I was gonna say I don't think Wentz was bad this Sunday. I think he played well. I think that end of the game drive to like close it out was really impressive.
2 weeks in a row, he put together drives to seal the game out. Yeah. 2 weeks. I don't think Wentz was bad either. And again, this is something else. It's on Twitter. Alshon had 3 fucking drops. In one game, 3 fucking drops. There's wide receivers that go the entire fucking season without 3 drops. This guy has it in one game. And right now, he's our best wide receiving option.
Breaking news,
he's the best wide receiver. He's not the best wide receiving option.
Breaking news. Jordan Matthews in Philadelphia to take a physical.
Fucking great.
Also breaking news. Jacksonville to start Nick Foles, bench Gardner Minshew.
No way.
Yep.
Oh, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. And, all right, well, my little QB comparison, I'm done. I got more on the Eagles later. Unless you have anything else to add, Trey.
Nah. I'm ready for my next takeaway.
All right, hit me.
All right, so I guess I'll use a different kind of analogy here. Styles make fights, you know. Some teams have better matchups. Some teams are bad matchups. Some teams are good matchups. It's all about styles in the NFL. Chad, the Patriots' one weakness over the years, would you say has been what? What's the Patriots' weakness over the years?
Their lack of talent.
To a degree, yes. But mainly what I was looking for is they're slow. Chad, they don't have team speed. Do you see they have Kyle Van Noy at linebacker? That guy was a defensive end for the Lions. They have Donta Hightower. That guy can't run. Jamie Collins, he was playing edge for Cleveland. Their linebackers can't run with anybody. They're slow. If you put them out in space, they can't keep up with you. They're slow on defense. And Chad, over the years, the teams that have given New England trouble, they've put them out in space. They all have the same component. Andy Reid, he does what? We have Tyreek Hill, who's fast. We have a game-changing tight end with Travis Kelce. We have burners all over the field. And we're going to spread New England out, and we're going to make him cover every blade of grass. And for the most part, Andy Reid, every time he plays Belichick, he doesn't always win, but he puts up points. In the Super Bowl, Chad, Doug Peterson, he got those fuckers out in space. Give him credit. He made you cover every blade of grass. And he even had guys like Corey Clement. Your linebackers can't cover our guys out of the backfield. They can't cover them. Clement's too fast for their linebackers. And he took advantage all day. And he put up over 40 in the Super Bowl. Another Andy Reid tree. Get him out in space. For as bad as Chicago has been on offense this year, Chad, and they've been awful. Do you remember how many points they scored against New England last year?
They beat them at home, didn't they?
No, they lost, but they put up 31 against New England last year. Why? They got them out in space. They got little shifty guys like Tariq Cohen and Taylor Gabriel and Anthony Miller. And Allen Robinson can run a little bit. And they got Trey Burton who can run. They get those fuckers out in space. New England can't run with you. And it's another Andy Reid coaching tree. Chad, what do the Baltimore Ravens have in common?
They can run.
They can run, and they're fucking fast. And he got John Harbaugh, who came from Andy Reid. And he got those fuckers out in space. And Lamar Jackson can outrun you. And Marquise Brown, for as good as Stephon Gilmore's been all year, they can't run with him. Marquise Brown beat him all day. And they got 3 game-changing tight ends who can run, block, and catch. And those linebackers could not cover them to save their life. Chad, styles make fights. You want to beat New England, there's a real formula here. Get them out in space. They're slow. Their linebackers can't cover. They're slow. They're slow. It's a problem. And I'm not saying New England will figure it out. But they don't have the pieces to run with these teams. They never have.
They are who we thought they were.
I agree there. I think, and I mean, I'll take it another step further. I think having a good defense goes beyond that. I mean, because you mentioned Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Yeah, they're able to score points on the Patriots, but they weren't able to stop them at all. The few times they were able to come up with a stop, something fucking happened to give New England the ball again. Justin Houston being offsides. All that. We go in that bullshit all day, but if you can play defense, and yeah, you can run around these guys, and I don't think that's wrong.
Let's keep in mind the last time New England has dominated first and second year quarterbacks. Do you remember the last one to beat them, Chad? Who was the last first or second year quarterback to beat New England? Because Lamar Jackson just did it. Who was the last one?
I don't know.
Colin Kaepernick, who has the exact same playing style and the exact same offensive coordinator that Lamar Jackson has right now, and a Harbaugh at head coach, which is what Baltimore has. There's a formula to beat New England. You got a running quarterback who can get them out in space, and you have athletic tight ends that their linebackers can't cover. You can beat this team. I think it's a real problem that New England has. I don't think they can run with people, and maybe Belichick can fix it, but we have example after example of these Andy Reid style teams that can spread you out and get their weapons in space, and he doesn't always beat them, but they put up a lot of points on New England, and they have problems with teams that can run.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm glad going forward next week with the Eagles. Well, 2 weeks from now with the Eagles when they play New England. Hey, I mean, at least the Eagles can run the ball this year.
That's what you got for us?
That's all I got. I mean, there's not much else to say. I mean, you said a whole lot. Analysis-wise, I think it's true. If you could get their linebackers spread out a little bit, maybe get them shifted over a couple extra gaps than they normally would, where they can't just, plug the middle. They don't move laterally very well.
No.
We talk about guys, when we do like our pre-draft shows, this guy flies around the field, that kind of stuff. Who's the guy? Devin Bush was the guy we talked about. Flies around the field. Who's the guy on New England that you say, oh, this guy flies around the field. He can play sideline to sideline.
They don't have one.
And, I mean, the last few years or so when they did have one, guys like Chandler Jones and stuff like that, bye.
Gone. They don't have team speed. They're really slow.
On defense.
Yeah.
They don't have team speed. They got those short little track and field white guys all over the place on offense.
Let me also say this about Baltimore, because I know fans are going to freak out. There are real problems here with the Ravens, too. Chad, did you know that teams that have gotten a second look at Lamar Jackson have not lost outside of Cincinnati? Cleveland, one of the best weeks they've looked all year. They got a second crack at Lamar Jackson. Beat him up pretty good. Kansas City, they lost the first time. They got a second crack at Lamar Jackson. Won the game pretty convincingly. Chargers, they seen him, lost. They got a second crack at him. They beat him up real bad in that playoff game. This is going to happen. New England's going to play them again. Now, maybe they don't have the personnel to do it, but they'll figure out something enough to where they'll beat them the second time. They'll figure it out enough, and they don't have the players to do it. But they won't lose again to that team.
I mean, I don't doubt it, especially with New England, because you always lose the first game to New England. Or no, I'm sorry. You always lose the second game is what I meant to say.
You won't beat them the second time.
You won't. It's always been like that.
Yeah.
Going back to they beat the Steelers in 2004 in the AFC Championship game. They got beat up by a young Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, he beat them that first time in the regular season.
Yep, they blew them out in the regular season. Patriots were undefeated at that point in the season. Got blown out by the Steelers. Came back and blew them out in the playoffs.
I think even the Eagles, didn't they play them in the regular season? The Eagles lost in the regular season. They won the second time? Or am I wrong?
I don't think the Eagles played them in the regular season 2004. I could be wrong, though. I'm not 100%.
No, I'm talking about when they won the Super Bowl. Like 2 years ago, whenever that. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Oh, 2017? No, we didn't play New England in the regular season. But the key is if you do play the Patriots, you got to lose the first game. Because that's what happened for the Giants in 2008.
They lost the first then, the Giants.
Yeah. They were the last game of the season on the Patriots' schedule. Giants gave them a good run, gave them a little scare, but they lost, and they beat them in the Super Bowl.
The fans will freak out. Baltimore, you will not beat them again.
It's not going to happen.
And New England doesn't have the players to beat them. It's a total bad matchup for New England, but they'll figure out a way.
Guarantee Steve's not calling plays that week.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Do you have anything else? Second takeaway?
I mean, so obviously this is going to be a very Eagles-centric week for me. I went to the game this Sunday. I do got to talk about the Eagles one last time. The fact that they didn't address wide receiver at the trade deadline, that was egregious to me.
What about corner?
Corner too, and I'll get there in a second, but more so wide receiver. Because with Deshaun Jackson's injury that he had, and I didn't know this prior to this week, but the Eagles did know this. Apparently what had happened is he got injured in week 1, or week 2 against Atlanta, and they go to see the team doctors. The team doctors are like, hey, look, this type of injury almost never heals itself without surgery. Like, there's a chance you can rest up and come back, but like 9 times out of 10 without surgery, it don't mean shit. They knew this going into the trade deadline. And they didn't do anything to try to get a deep threat. And I think that's what's been derailing our wide receiver core. I mean, yeah, obviously the drops haven't helped, but we can't run the ball because everyone's playing their safeties at like 9 yards. When your safeties are at 9 yards, it's having 2 extra guys in the box. Yeah, Aguilar can sometimes get open deep, but there's still a 50-50 shot that he's not catching the ball even if he is open.
I think their mistakes stem from the draft. I think that's where Howie made his mistakes. You can't take J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, the second round, and then him not be a factor. You take a receiver in the second round, he's got to play.
He was in third round, but regardless, I don't. My thing is look, the draft is what it is at this point. You know what you have with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He's not cutting it. To have all these wide receivers out there available for trading, and you don't make a move. And you've already talked about being in win now mode when you're with this Eagles franchise, and you don't make a move for a guy. That's an egregious error. You've got issues at the cornerback position. Yeah, we were okay this week, but it's Mitch Trubisky. He's not finding anybody open.
I think another mistake they made. I think this all stems from the draft. You take Arcega-Whiteside in the third round, he's got to play. The other problem I had with their draft is they didn't take a linebacker, and I'm going to keep saying it. It all starts there. If they had some good linebackers, I think it would mask some of the secondary problems.
Hey, I mean, I said this last week. I've said this 100 times. I said we were thin at linebacker, and it's going to come back to bite us in the ass.
Yep.
Now we're cutting guys. We don't have fucking linebackers to begin with, but let's just cut them because they said something stupid in an interview. I don't get it.
TJ Edwards.
Now you don't have any playmakers. You don't have any playmakers on the outside. So Ertz is struggling because he's getting like quadruple teamed. You're not worried about Aguilar. You're not worried about Alshon. I swear to God.
Goddard's your second best receiver right now.
I swear to God, I watched Alshon on Sunday get hit literally. When you talk about perfect ball placement, you talk about aiming for right between the guy's numbers. literally hit him directly between the 1 and the 7, and he fucking drops it.
Aguilar's your number, or not Aguilar. Dallas Goedert's your number 2.
Yeah.
He's your number 2.
The problem is you can't throw the tight end on every down.
Yeah,
Can't run the ball when there's 14 guys in the fucking box.
That's your second best option. Goddard. They got to go 2 tight end sets every play.
I think the Eagles have like 10 or 11 draft picks. You got to make a move. Do something. If you're in win now mode, fucking win now, bitch.
Can't disagree. Have anything else on Philadelphia?
No, I'm done. I'm fucking sick.
You're done with them.
Not like that.
Done with them. I guess that's about it. Cam Newton just got placed on IR, so his season's over. Breaking news, some more.
Should have traded him when they had the chance.
Anything else for this week?
No, I am looking forward to the New England game because we know Andy Reid teams are good after the bye. Doug has a couple weeks to prepare here.
Who do they get next?
I think we should be okay against New England because you can run the ball against them, so we'd be all right.
You get New England next?
We have a bye, then we have New England after the bye.
I think Dallas gets New England right now. So that's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Dallas loses, and hopefully we win. Try anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Alrighty then. Well, thanks for giving us a listen. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter. The main show is Vendetta. Well, the main page is, I should say, Vendetta_media. Check out us on Facebook as well. Give us a like there. Don't forget to follow Trey at Trey Daubert, TreyDaubert. Follow me on Twitter at Lilfooted, LILFOOTED. Thanks for giving us a listen, and we'll see you next week.